So, what number episode is it? We always do this. You always
Uh,
know.
no, I don't. I think it
No,
might be. Why do I want to say 12 or 13?
really.
No, we've done
Well,
more than that, right?
let's see. Let's see. Um,
We're starting this one off
this is episode 16.
16. All right. This
Yeah.
is an exciting way to begin the episode with us looking up what
Yeah.
number episode it is, like it fucking matters at all.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I never mention it on Talking Bollocks. I don't know why, so bothered with
I,
this one, but I guess it's
I
because
don't
the titles are,
I don't know
just
why we
episode.
started. I don't know why we started. Maybe it was because of me. Did I start numbering them? Fuck, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, no, because I think I number them because it's episode one, two, because that's all they're called.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we don't do interviews, and we should probably rethink it actually, because dropping names of bands into the title of the podcast might be a really good fucking idea.
Well, I do that on the YouTube side of things. It always has the episode number, and then I list some bands we talk about just to give somebody an
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. No, I mean, I do that in the description, but anyway, fuck it. Who cares? This is fascinating podcast
Yeah,
housekeeping for everyone to listen to.
this is the kind of stuff that
Brilliant.
professionals would be doing before the show, but
Yeah,
we're just doing it
absolutely.
on the show for everyone to see.
Yeah, yeah. We make out like we're letting you see behind the scenes as opposed to disorganized. Um, how have you been anyway, buddy? Because I see you've been dragging your wife to some death metal shows. So
She
you
wanted
know,
to go. I've been doing these internet radio show things. There's an app that right now is only available in the US called AMP, and they allow you to like do radio shows using music that's on through Amazon Music. So whatever they have, you can play
right.
songs and do your own live radio show. And I've always wanted to do that, and so I've started doing it. And my wife's always there, and I've been playing a lot of death metal recently, and she's really for some reason found out that she really likes it, and so she's like, "Can we go to a death metal show?" And then a really big one popped up in Houston. I'm just like, "Yeah, let's fucking go." And she had a blast. like it's like she had
Yeah,
meant to be around some really heavy guitars and growling dudes for her whole life and finally figured it out.
that's awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, that really is. Not only is she the mother of your children, but she is also a keeper.
Absolutely. But yeah, and it's I love it because now I'm like, there's we can't go out that much just because not only do we have a kid, but we also have 5 dogs. And so it's one of those things where getting somebody to come over and watch, because there's no way, like our pit bull will tear the house up. And so we
Yeah.
so when we can get out, it's cool that now I'm like, well, yeah, let's just go to a show, because that's what I like to do whenever because I don't like going out, but I do like going to see some shows every once in a while. But
Yeah. Well, yeah, it certainly seems to suit her, and yeah, well done. Funnily enough, when you said, we have a young child, and also we have five. I thought you were going to say $5 for some reason instead of
no,
five dogs. Yeah, I know. And I was thinking, oh, you poor bastard. I mean, I didn't realize things were going that badly.
no, we do all right over here between the two of us. Um,
Excellent.
but yeah, but no, but I mean that being said, 5 dogs is expensive. So
Oh God, yeah. Sorry, I'm doing a roam for those of you watching a video. Clearly, you're aware of this. I have wildlife that I occasionally have to keep away from my building, so I might just get up and roam from time to time.
all right, that's a little more action. In the film world, they call that scope when they
Wow, really
yeah, yeah,
great.
when
I
you
was just
when
doing
you
some.
you take a
Go-
scene and you go somewhere else with the scene, that's called scope. So there you go.
Actually, I think what you'll find is I was foreshadowing, and later on in about 40 minutes, a huge wolf is just going to come in and bite my head off.
Oh man, this would be do you imagine how we would go viral finally?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, YouTube would give us like a grand. You know,
Maybe.
mate. Yeah, mate. If we asked nicely,
It would all
if we're
go
really
towards
cool
your
about it.
hospital bills though anyway.
Yeah, true. Well, not over here, mate, unless it happens in the States where it's more likely to happen. So, either way, I'm fucked. But
You're more
I'd have
likely.
travel insurance though. I mean,
It's
because
more
this is
likely.
fascinating.
Yeah, I would say it's more likely that I just randomly get shot in the head from the street in America than a wolf getting me. But still,
True, true. Although, you never know. I mean, shit happens. I mean, I live in London, and werewolves, synonymous with London.
yeah,
There's been at least one in 35, 40 years.
yeah. All right. Well, on that note,
On that note, yeah, let's make this worth listening to.
what we normally do is review albums, right? And do you have albums to
Yeah.
review? This.
I have three shiny albums, one of which is rapidly becoming my album of the year so far.
Cool. I also have three, and yeah, I don't know even where to begin. Would you like me to begin?
Right. I get the feeling like you began last episode, so I'll begin.
Do it.
All right. And just to plug Patreon again, but I've been playing this a fair bit on Radio Bollocks, which is behind the paywall that is patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. Please do come along and join. Sign up for the fun. I don't know why I managed to make it sound so like it's not fun, but it is, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is. I mean,
So,
if it wasn't fun, you would all of a sudden have $6 less a month or whatever it is.
thank you, sir. Thank you. So, by the way, just in case you're thinking that if you sign up for Patreon that we're going to end up doing a podcast together, no, that's just a Steve thing. Okay, that's not everybody.
I'm just that good.
Yeah, he's that guy. He's my guy. So let's get on with this. Vomitory.
Oh shit! Okay.
All heads are gonna roll. I heard said opening track, and up until the vocals came in, I was like, "This is fucking awesome." Now, the vocals came in, and the vocals are my least favorite part of the whole album, but it is a death metal album that has been put together by a band who have not put anything out, I think, for about 12 years. And they certainly sound like I mean, who doesn't love a great comeback album, eh? It's for listeners, I did a big wink. Yeah, it's fucking storming, mate. Now, I've got to be honest, at its best, it's kind of like death metal, but leaning towards early Pleasure to Kill Creator era.
Okay.
Yeah. And I realize the confusions of the genres there, but if you go back and re-examine Pleasure to Kill, it's got as much to do with death metal as it has thrash metal. It's just we didn't know that at the time. And yeah, it's just intense and unforgiving. It's got an awesome production that is not like overbearing. It's really kind of stripped back, and that's how it feels. It feels stripped back. It feels like it's a band that are just delivering all the songs they had. They didn't have any spare tracks. And when it comes to the vocals, like I said, my least favorite part, because it is all a bit, and which is just not my thing. But you know what? It just suits this. Now, I'm openly not a fan of most death metal, and when I say most, I mean 99% of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of every song on this album, but I am a fan of the album. And it's one of those that every time it comes in, because it's in a running playlist with other new stuff, every time it kicks in, I go, fuck yeah, this is yeah, I'd forgotten about this. It's one of them, and by that I don't mean that it doesn't demand to be listened to. It's just that I've got other things listening to at the moment, and every time I listen to this, it just gives me a little kick up the arse and goes, yeah, that album is crazy good for a band who have not put anything out for a very, very long time. Now, connoisseurs of death metal, what they're going to make of it, I don't know, because I'm not them. But what I can say is, yeah, really, really good, solid, heavy, fast, thrashy, everything you want for an album from an album by a band called Vomitory, called All Heads Are Gonna Roll. I could have just said nothing and just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like the kind of album that a band called Vomitory would put out and called All Heads Are Gonna Roll. Yeah, your head's gonna fucking roll after a few tracks.
It's funny that I've been listening to a lot of newer death metal recently, but I haven't heard this album. Or maybe I have, because I do dip my toe in and listen to
you do
a couple tracks, and then if I'm not into it, I don't even listen to it anymore. So it could have been one of those too, and I just don't remember. But now that you've given it a stamp of approval, I'll go check it out. But
see what you think. I do like it.
Yeah, because it is with death metal, and we'll get to it because I have a death metal I'm going to talk about in a little bit too. But with death metal, it is strange because I find that there is a fine line with death metal bands, and there can be two bands that sound very similar to each other, but there's just something about that one that I go, this is great, and then the other one I go, I don't need any of that. And so it's really interesting because sometimes it's down to the vocals, sometimes it's the production. Like if an album's really well produced and I don't necessarily like the vocals, or I might be like, it feels good listening to this because of the big crunchy guitars, and that kind of thing does it for me. So I don't know. I'll check out Vomitory. And
absolutely, mate. And also, if nothing else, it sounds like a room in a house that everyone should have. I'm just nipping through to the vomitory. I shall be back when I have thrown my guts up.
Vomitory. I'm loving the creativity of death metal band names these days. It's just.
Hey, look! Don't move on from Vomitory, okay? It's the gift that keeps on giving. It really is. I mean, it genuinely sounds like something in the 18th century that people in England would have had. You know what I mean?
I wonder if it actually is a thing. I have to look it up and find out if that's actually a thing.
Well, there's no time like the present, is there? So, listeners, I'm jumping on my phone, and I am going to look up the word vomitory and see if there is. Right, here we go. See if there is any kind of history in it. Well, the word does pop up.
Okay.
Inducing vomiting, vomitive, causing vomitive, emetic, vomitive.
Vomitory, as in that
vomit.
music. That music is downright vomitory. Like it's not a thing. It's a.
Yes. Yeah.
What would that be?
Basically something
Adjective.
that induces vomiting. So sticking your fingers down your throat is vomitory.
Ipecac is a vomitory.
Motherfucker. Is that?
Ipecac is.
I love that movie.
Ipecac is a
motherfucker
solution. What is that from?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Oh no, I said Ipecac. Ipecac is a.
No, I was deliberately misunderstanding you for comic effect.
It wasn't funny.
Die Hard. Yeah, Ipecac, motherfucker.
Anyway,
sorry.
So now we know. So now
we know. There you go, kids. That's why you listen to this podcast, isn't it? Hey,
use that next time you're talking to your friends about an album you don't like, and you just be like, "That album was absolutely vomitory."
Yeah. As in, it induced me to vomit.
Yeah,
I like that. Cool. Well, there you go. Awesome band name. And I've got to admit, I have a kind of warm place in my heart for a band who's been away for so long and come back so strong. It's fucking awesome. Good on it.
Absolutely. So moving on to an album that a lot of people probably have claimed to be vomitory. I know
what this is.
I'm surprised I'm even talking about this album.
I know what this is.
I'm gonna give me a moment to talk about the new album from Avenged Sevenfold. Okay. The album is called Life Is But a Dream. Have you heard this album? You have?
Yes.
Okay.
It's yeah,
So hold on. Just let me go
yeah, yeah, yeah.
into
Go for
do
it.
my 2 cents. So
Yeah, no, go
this
for it.
this is the eighth album by Avenged Sevenfold. Let's preface it with this. I have never heard an Avenged Sevenfold song that I liked for 7 albums straight. Every time somebody says, "Well, maybe check this song out," I go, "It's not very good."
Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like the last one I didn't like.
Yeah, it's like it's so
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so, but the day that this album came out, all I kept seeing was people being like, "This is garbage. This is awful. Here's my review of it. Wow, why did they do this?" So what does that make me want to do? I'm gonna go listen to this motherfucker. And I have to admit, I was working. I had the music going, and I listened to the album all the way through. And several times I would go, "Oh, okay." Now, that being said, before everybody gets so excited, this is not going to be a glowing review of this album, but I am going to give them some kudos because hey, you put out an album that I did not stop it when I started playing it, and I downright enjoyed some of it.
Yeah.
Now, I think maybe it's just because of the fact that I do love it when a band just says fuck it, we're going to do
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
that's a little bit weird. Now for some
Yeah.
people that listen to actual unusual, strange, weird progressive music, this is basic shit right here. But
Yeah.
for Avenged Sevenfold fans, I'm pretty sure a whole lot of them are just baffled as to why the band would put this album out. Just to
Oh, yeah.
give you an idea,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost it's
It's
almost
divisive,
like
isn't it?
and it's almost like they a little bit of it makes me feel like there's a little bit of like Mike Patton love going on in there, like Mr. Bungle or whatever, but not as off the wall as Mr. Bungle. But it's like there's a little bit of metal in there and rock in there, but there's also a song with an orchestra that sounds like an old school like crooner type song. There's a pop song where he uses the auto tune on his voice. There's a song the end track is just piano,
Just piano, yeah.
and in the songs that are a little more rocking, they go in different unexpected places. And is the singer, is it M Shadows? Is that his name? Is that the guy I'm thinking of?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
He's doing interesting things vocally. I don't think he's that great of a singer, but I do like the fact that I would hear vocal parts and go, I never would have thought of putting that there. And so you put all these things together, all these weird incorporations of different styles of music, of having synthesizers and other types of weird vocals and even the production where sometimes it's like there's a weird digital choppiness to some of the things. All those things put together. And while this isn't an album that I'm going to rush out and buy on vinyl, and it's not going to make me an Avenged Sevenfold fan, it's important for me to point out that I'm just like, kudos, guys, because I listened to it twice. I listened to that first day, and then again preparing to talk about it. And I don't love it, but hey, I like an Avenged Sevenfold album. Who would have fucking thought?
Yeah, I
So,
know. I completely agree. That who the fuck would have thought it?
yeah.
My history with the band is I can't even remember the name of the album, but the one that was an all black cover before they went big. That was the last album of theirs that I owned, and I liked
Okay.
it. And I saw them on that tour, which is at least 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They were all right. Then I saw the whole every song's. Oh God, I nearly sounded like an old person, but the old. I saw Formula Avenged Sevenfold at Wembley Arena, supported by Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah, exactly.
awful.
So yeah. It was basically Meathead City. It was an ideal. Anyway, it was
Yeah.
rubbish. Didn't like it, etc. And I've been out of the Avenged Sevenfold world for a long time.
Yeah.
And there was something, maybe a clip of a video. I can't remember why, but I watched a bit of a video, and I think it was the song Nobody. And I was like, well, this sounds fuck all like Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to, boys? And the answer is magic mushrooms. And that's why the album.
Yeah.
And that's why the album is like, it's good old fashioned. Some guys in a big band have had a big break, all done a load of drugs and gone, do you know what, guys? Should we go back to just enjoying ourselves, not giving a fuck and doing what the fuck we like?
Yeah.
And fuck the record company. They get what they're fucking given. And fuck the management. Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to cancel our festival dates. We're going to hack the website and cancel our festival dates for a laugh and not tell anybody. So they did.
They did that?
Yeah. Yeah, the management didn't know. The band hacked their own site.
Good for them.
Yeah. And it's literally like they've just gone off. And now in interviews, they're going, yeah, we might, this probably be our last album. Oh, we're still going to be around. But yeah, we might just like do a real event and release a song or a couple of songs with linked videos. Because they just strike me as the kind of guys that are at the top of the tree. And when you're at the top of the tree, it's very easy to just keep paying the mortgage. Just keep delivering what everybody expects.
We see that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't, it's always better to fail gloriously because you've tried to achieve something than deliver something that was only ever going to be, aim for mediocrity and deliver it. Brilliant. Yeah. That's no good for anybody. And what they've ended up with is so far my album of the year.
Oh, really? This is it. Nice. I mean, I really like it. I think it may have to grow on me a little more, but yeah.
All I knew was that there were two earworms that I could not get out of my head. And not only were they earworms, but they were not normal earworms. Yeah. And there is so much to dig into. And sure, some of it works. But you know what? I don't give a fuck. I can listen to the stuff. It's listenable doesn't work. The final track, it's just would I, choose to sit down and listen to, a lovely little piano concerto? No. But every time I listen to that album, it is a journey and I go on it with them. Yeah. And they've gone song structure. Yeah. Should we just fuck that off? Because we've done verse chorus to death. We've done the singles. We've done the videos. Yeah. Let's just do something that's more fucking interesting. And, to your point, in one song, there is a small section where it's just the drummer playing blast beats and M Shadows, the singer, singing, and beneath his singing is him screaming. Yeah. And it's just a blast beat and screaming. And he's holding your attention with the melody, which kind of fools you into thinking but your ears keep going that's insane what he's singing over, right? And I really, really, really like it. I like the attitude behind it. I like why they've done it. But ultimately, I've bought the CD. It's really satisfying me musically. The song Nobody, every time I hear it, does my fucking head in. Yeah. The song Cosmic is fucking genius. The opening track, Game Over. I mean, nuclear assault, nod or what? So I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I also really enjoy that second to last sort of ballady orchestra song. I don't know, something about that. I just really.
Do you mean the one that goes, "Will you"? The one with the one with the the one with the what is it?
Auto tune.
Yeah, the auto tune on it.
No, the one right after that. It's the one right before the piano song, and it's just like a really smooth ballad, but with just orchestra. I think it's just an orchestra behind the vocals.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's called Ordinary. Yeah.
And I really like that too. It's just but I like the fact that that's how the album wraps up with the three least Avenged Sevenfold sounding songs, and I'm just like, that's
and one's called G, one is called O brackets Renary Ordinary, and the final one is called D brackets F Death, and of course spelling downwards God, God.
Yeah. So, but you don't. But do you not think some of it's a little heavy-handed though, like in everything they're trying to pull off there?
I think I don't think they're trying to pull off anything. I
Yeah.
don't think they have a choice. I think this is it. This is it. I think everything is meant, and you have failed to get on. You've missed the train. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they've basically gone so far off the reservation.
Hmm.
It's kind of like, if you get this, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
But you have to come to us because we ain't coming to you.
Yeah.
And I've I've swallowed the Kool Aid.
I think that
I'm on board with it.
it's a push
I
and
know what you
pull with
mean.
me because there is that part of me while I was listening to it the last time where I thought, is this a little bit too much? But then I would think to myself, well, if you're going to do this, why would you not go that far with it? So it's one of those things where I really do think that I'll like the album more the more I listen to it. But really, the only two real gripes I have about it is that I don't really like the vocals, not necessarily what is being sung, but how. Like his voice, for some reason, sometimes doesn't really sit with me very well. But on top of that, I love parts of the production style, and I don't like some parts of it because some of it's a little too dry for me. And I feel like for this album, maybe it needed to be a little bit bigger
Yeah, no,
sounding.
I know what you mean, because sometimes you've got huge sounding drums and you've got a very dry. It sounds like almost like one guitar, and it's kind of double tracked. That's to give it dimensions. That's all done on purpose. But
Yeah,
whether you like it or not is another matter entirely.
yeah.
Um,
I think it's something I'll
but
get used to.
but I'm genuine, and I understand what you're saying about the vocals as well, because I felt the same way. But I've any bits that jarred on me, I've bought into now. And when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the thing is, I'm fine with that because they've earned so much. They've got in my good graces to such an extent that they've earned that, that space. So I can just sit there and go, okay, this bit is not for me, and but they've gone so far. They've gone so far that that's what I love. And to not get it is on you. And by you, I
Mhm.
mean the listener in
Yeah,
general.
yeah,
It's like, look, guys, we've done this and we know why, and we know what it's about, and we know how it works, and we know that it works. So your opinion, whatever,
yeah,
because it's an absolute fan base splitter. But do you know what? For me, it's it's the kind of actions by a band that have almost changed the navigation of what they want their fan base to be. For
yeah,
me, it's kind of like, do you know what? Let's make an album that absolutely that throws everything up in the air, and then when everything lands, those people who are still with us, we know we can continue to just do what the fuck we want, and we just ditch the people that mean we have to write 4.5 minute singles.
yeah,
I
yeah.
genuinely think and it may be not as thought out like that or anything, but I genuinely think it's the kind of album that will change their fan base.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that because I have seen some positive reactions to it, but I feel like I've seen more negative to it, and I really hope that doesn't dissuade them from whatever they're going to do in the future. And from what you're saying,
No,
it doesn't seem like it will. But even if they
I think
don't
that's
do more
sorry.
albums, if they just do songs and not an album, I'm now more curious about like, well, what does this mean for the future of Avenged Sevenfold? Like, do
Yeah.
we get more interesting stuff now?
How do you play that live? I mean,
Yeah,
that's the first question that springs to mind, because some of it is just like insane.
yeah.
But yeah, I genuinely think that they're looking at a completely different future. And yeah, just playing it live is just going to be insane.
I mean, it's
But
already a future
yeah,
where I liked one of their albums, so that's unusual.
yeah, true. But look, but also what you were saying about I've heard a lot of bad things. Do you know what? I just think that's a trick of the internet, a trick of social media, and a trick of bad news sells. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
who's sharing the tweets saying it's the best album this year? Fucking nobody. Oh, good for you, mate. You don't share that. If someone says this is the biggest piece of shit I've ever heard, I'm fucking sharing that.
Yeah.
It's so you know, when it went in
That's
at
why
13 on the US charts.
that's why my channel doesn't do very well because it's a
Yeah.
whole lot I only talk about the stuff I like, not the stuff I hate. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong.
Well, you know, I admin 9 social media accounts, and yeah, see it, negative. Boom! It's blown up.
Yeah.
But hey, look, it turns out there you go, kids. As always, we never. I don't know why I call the audience kids. I do apologize. Proof that we do not compare notes.
Nope.
And that's really cool because that's kind of like both our like unfiltered opinions, and then both going right. Okay.
That was nice. That was a beautiful thing that just happened.
It was a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. A bit like the album.
Yeah.
By the way, sorry, one very last thing.
Sure.
And you made the distinction, which I really like. He is a good singer.
Yeah.
That is of absolute no doubt, because what he's doing in places is highly original, pretty difficult. He's introduced some incredible variety of influences for a metal singer. And what you don't like is the sound of his voice, because I know exactly what you mean. Because there is times, if we sat in a room and played the album together, I would go, this is and you'd be like, oh, right, yeah, no, so you know what I mean then. It's like, yeah, I know. And that's what kind of piqued me the first few times I heard, and now it makes sense because I've listened to it enough, because what he's doing is not what you normally hear. It's a departure. It's offensive to the ears. But when you keep playing it, it's like, I would not have that bit changed for the life of me. And the thing is, this even happens with bands in the studio. I've done things vocally where everyone's like, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. I love it. And it's like, everyone sleep on it.
Yeah.
And you come back the following day and everyone goes, yeah, it's great. What were we, and it's because, it's odd. It's weird. It's, you know,
yeah.
I'm sure you can imagine the particular chorus I'm referring to from the Age of Entitlement there. But yeah, it's his actual. I don't like how his voice sounds.
Yeah.
Totally accept that. And I didn't at first in parts, but I even like those bits now. So you know, what can I say?
Before we wrap this one up, the one thing I do hope is, because this is a huge band that's done this album, I hope that it somehow influences other bands, maybe not necessarily to do this kind of album, but to think, hey, maybe we don't need to just, do exactly what the audience is asking every single time. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know. It's a beautiful thing.
Do you know what, mate? As you got towards the end of that, I think saying it out loud, you realised what a childish love-struck dream that this was all starting to sound like. That this one band can go against the grain, and all other bands are going to go, "Hey, wait a minute."
Hey, it could happen. Maybe for a few bands. I don't know.
It's not going to happen. No, fuck it. It's not. But do you know
what? It was all for nothing.
But what I love is the fact that in this day and age, in 2023, a band put an album out after doing a shit ton of mushrooms, and there's a load of people out there who don't like it because it's really fucking weird, and the record company don't know what to do with it. Yeah. Brilliant. It's like the fucking 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, good on them.
I'm down for that. Absolutely.
Fuck them. They've absolutely put their career in a fucking blender. They've put their balls in a vice. They've risked everything. People at the label will have been on their fucking knees, begging them to put that album through Pro Tools and let us put it into proper song structures and please. And they have absolutely, stuck to their guns. Nobody in the Avenged Sevenfold camp will have been happy about this at all, other than the band. That's what it smacks of to me. That's what I really fucking like, because a band that deep into their career, it's very easy to just be managed. Mm-hmm. And that includes every aspect of the band. And this is a band who clearly are all over every aspect of what they do and are going to go, no, 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 this is it. Here's the finished album. Are you sure you don't? No, we're sure. Well, we were thinking, were you not interested? It's just like, wow, man. To do what they've done, I just think he's fucking. And a lot of people will be like, "Oh, they're all fucking millionaires. It don't matter." Them are financially secure for life. They haven't got fuck you money. Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. But they've decided to say fuck you a bit early.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. I'm looking forward to hearing it more because
Yeah, yeah.
it's that
Well,
interesting of an album.
we're both clearly, I mean, you brought the whole thing up purely because you wanted to give them props for exactly that. And,
Yep.
and this
Yep.
is the place to come, guys. If you want to do something different, fucking send it to us because we're a place that will appreciate it.
Oh, I love it. I love it when bands do that kind of shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to, I guess, another my second one, since that ended up being your second one as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Another death metal album. This actually the last two albums I'm going to talk about come from my home state. And considering there's so much shit that I'm embarrassed about coming from Texas, it's nice to talk about some good music coming from here.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
the second full length album from the death metal band Creeping Death just came out, and it is called Boundless Domain. They're from Dallas, Texas. This is, like I said, their second album, and I'm very excited because in my opinion, two of the best recent death metal albums that I've heard have both come from Dallas, Texas, and that's insane. Cool. And this is the first one was the Frozen Soul album, Glacial Domination, that came out a few weeks ago. I did like a standalone review of that on my channel, but this is the Creeping Death album, and it's really good. It's very well produced, and there's a thing that some of these bands have started to do, these younger bands, because a lot of people will throw these are young bands doing old school death metal. But the thing that I'm finding with Creeping Death and a handful of other bands is they're almost coming at old school death metal from the background of being in hardcore bands. So you will have some things that are akin to a hardcore breakdown after a big double kick, sort of death metal, classic death metal style thing. And vocally speaking, with Creeping Death, the vocals aren't necessarily unique, but they're not that sort of just guttural, you can't understand anything. It's more of an open mouth kind of death metal thing. And that goes for the whole album. Like, the whole album has a sort of crisp production where everything stands out. Everything breathes. It doesn't sound muddy. They didn't fuck off with the reverb, turning it way too high on everything. It's like, finally, these younger bands who have all this promise, not only are they sort of forging their own sort of death metal sound, but they're also saying, hey, why don't we make these albums sound good? And so that's making me very happy. And this album is 9 songs, 36 minutes. A lot of memorable stuff happens on this album. But cool. I do like the fact that it is that sort of thing that I feel like it can please an old school death metal fan, like myself. I got into death metal in the early 90s, and I this sounds good to me. But I do feel like people who are into the newer, the slam stuff, or whatever it might be, the more brutal death metal stuff, they'd still get some kicks out of this, along with the hardcore kids. And a lot of these the show that my wife and I went to the other night, they were all technically death metal bands, but a few of them did have a little bit of the hardcore influence, and you would see the crowd seemed like a hardcore crowd and not a death metal crowd. And
you were one of those guys at that gig, mate. You were one of those guys at that gig that people like me look at, and you're walking through the crowd, and there you are, you're walking at the gig, and you got your wife with you. She's really, dressed up. She's feeling it. She's looking the part. And we all look at people like you and go, fucking hell, how do you do that? How do you actually how do you actually find a woman who'd go to, insert genre here show? If you don't just meet them in the scene or whatever. It's just, yeah.
I lucked into it because I already liked her personality. Obviously, I married her, and she's more of the kind of person that's into like emo and stuff like that, and indie rock. And her favorite artist in the world.
What, you mean female?
Oh yeah, and her favorite artist in the world is Joni Mitchell. Like that's her side of stuff. But just the fact that she, and Creeping Death is one of the bands that she has sort of latched onto as shit that she likes. And I think
what do you think about the name?
At first, I did not want to listen to them because I was like, "Come on, guys!" But
I suspect, yeah.
But I actually saw them live, opening up for another band. They opened up for the last time Carcass and Sacred Reich came, and Creeping Death opened the show. And seeing them live, I just went, "All right, fuck! I don't give a shit about the name anymore. These guys are fucking great." And so, ever since then, I've been on board with these guys. But yeah, it is just a very well produced sort of merging of death metal and hardcore, but leaning more on the death metal side of things. And if you like those crunchy guitar riffs and it's just a good variety of death metal. It's just really
so
good.
What's the band called again?
Creeping Death.
And the album?
Boundless Domain.
I'm just trying to get in the habit of, like, at the end of your review, it's just remote, because it's nothing worse than you think, no, I'm going to give that a listen to, and then you think, oh, I need to rewind, and despite the fact, obviously, all the information's in the description. Fucking what an idiot. Carry on.
But I really like that one, and it's
oh, cool, man.
It's definitely one that's going to get a lot more plays from me, but there's so far I've been surprised at the quality of just some of the albums that have been coming out this year, to where I'm like, man, this might be a difficult top 10 for me at the end of the year, but we'll see.
So it's basically a band. What's the phrase I'm looking for? A band to take your emo wife to see.
Absolutely. Don't let that fool you. There's no emo in their music.
No. Yeah. No, I get it.
My wife is an anomaly. I don't know how it happened. It just happened. I lucked out.
Fair enough, mate. I'm pleased for you. I mean, sad for her, but pleased for you.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just happy that she lets me hang out with her. So we're good.
Mate, you just expressed what every single married man really thinks. I'm just glad she lets me hang out.
Absolutely.
If we're honest. So next album then.
Your third.
My third. So not off the beaten track at all. Okay. We're talking DevilDriver, and we are talking the years of, I'm for some reason I'm desperately stalling on the title because it's fucked off from my brain. But it's Dealing with Demons Volume 2. Boom, there it was. Okay. Because obviously I don't make notes. That'd be sensible. Do you know what? This album's been finished for quite a while. I've heard Des do a few interviews, and I was kind of like, all right, this will be interesting. And I heard the singles, and I just heard bits and went, because this is what I do with singles. I'm not going to pay it a great deal of attention. If it's a band where there's an album coming out, I'm not going to play the single to fucking death.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll literally want one cursory listen. Yeah, sounds good, great. Yeah, turn it off. I want to hear it in it's where it should be, in context, next to all the other songs, in its place. Then I'll listen to it properly.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked what I'd heard, and then it's just crept up on me, and it's kept creeping up on me. And at the moment, this is top 5 of the year as well.
Wow.
I it's not DevilDriver doing anything new, but it's doing what DevilDriver do, which kind of no one else does. They are, they are a bit of an anomaly. They're not. I mean, they can play main stage Donington, but sorry, Donington. Fucking hell, how old am I?
Download.
They can play main stage. Yeah, they can play main stage Download. But Cannibal Corpse can't. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but Cannibal Corpse are a bigger band, and they're just one of those bands that I really love. At times there's some really like genuine death metal going on, but here and there, but there's just some great grooves, some lyrics that are really meant. And Des puts he's not the most tuneful in the world, but when he inflects a little bit of melody into his voice, he can write an earworm like anybody else, and I've just found myself rediscovering my love for the DevilDriver back catalogue in general, on the back of how much I like this album. And I Volume 1 didn't do anywhere near for me what Volume 2 is, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It's right up there.
Interesting. I'm not a fan of DevilDriver at all. In fact, the really funny thing is that you're like, oh, there's a new DevilDriver album, and I'm like, cool, it's 2023. I'm just now getting into Coal Chamber.
Right. Okay.
So it's right. Like, because I didn't like them back in the day, but I've been recently hearing Coal Chamber songs, and I'm like, this is all right. I'm okay with this.
They just got tarred with the brush that they were a Korn ripoff.
Yeah.
And they're far from it. I liked them at the time. I saw them. I can't remember who they were supporting, but yeah, I even saw them back in the day. But no, well, let's maybe a day, if we're still doing this in 10 years time, maybe I'll start trying to get you into DevilDriver.
Yeah, I'll go and listen to it, but there's something
you don't have to, mate.
There's something that's always seemed so ununique about them that didn't really draw me in, but I can't really explain what it is because I haven't made it past like one song at a time.
I'm really struggling with that. I'm really struggling with that because I actually think they're quite unique. But maybe that's because they're the only. I listen to DevilDriver and I don't really listen to anything close to that.
Yeah.
But to me, they've kind of got a cool kind of like almost like a niche of their own.
Yeah. I mean, it could be just something I'm missing out on because it happens a lot. There are bands that pass me by, and then one day I catch up, and then then I go, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. So it could be one of those.
Yeah. Or maybe you just don't like DevilDriver.
Yeah, I mean, it could be very much like I've discovered with Slipknot, where I was like, maybe I'm the one who's wrong, and then after going through their discography, I went, nope, I'm right. They're not very good.
Slipknot, I don't know. Do you mean Corey and Clowns and Corey Clown and Jim Root's gig?
I think I mostly just don't like Corey. Okay.
Oh yeah, we've been through this before. You feel about Corey the way I feel about Sean M. Cranham or whatever his fucking name is.
Who's that?
Clown.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or as he's called in every press release, the film director, visionary genius, and like world class percussionist. And it's just like, wow, that guy can barely make a fucking home video. And he's like half decent at hitting a piece of metal with a baseball bat, and look what they made it sound like.
But you know what? That's a little bit inspiring. It's like, hey kids, you can make it too.
Yeah. One of the driving creative forces.
Yeah.
It's just like, really? Shut up.
I do really like the fact, though. Sorry to move from DevilDriver to Slipknot, but I do like that they put out a full EP basically of that one track that I love from their most recent album, and everyone's like, "Fuck this!" I'm like, "That's the one I really like."
But the weird thing is, they called it an EP, and like you said, it's four versions, and the other songs that they say are nothing to do with that. Well, if you play them both, they last about 2 minutes in total.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I mean, yeah, it's what we used to call back in the day. It's a little bit of a cocksuck.
Or what do they call that?
Hey, do you realize, mate? Do
I
you
don't
realize
know.
we just reviewed the Slipknot EP? We just fucking threw that in there
There
and
you go.
absolutely
Bonus.
trashed it. Yeah, yeah.
Bonus.
Trampled all over it, stamped on it. Fuck that shit. Right.
Well, I like it because I like that one song, and that's why I
Yeah,
realize I
yeah.
don't like Slipknot, because as soon as they go into the Slipknot stuff, I go, this isn't as good.
Well, yeah, but as you did say earlier, you listened to all the stuff and realized you were right.
Yep,
And
yep. For me,
I
I'm
can
right
deduce
for
from it.
me. I'm right for
Yeah,
me, not for
exactly.
everybody.
Exactly.
All right. Well, the Devil Driver, is that all you got for Devil Driver?
That is that. Oh well, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Do I get? I'll put a fucking Des costume on for you or something. You know?
Oh, I mean, that'd be
Well,
cool.
I can come up with something if you want, but that's all I got for you right now.
All right, all right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up with my last one, which is
Ooh.
brand spanking new band from right here in Houston, Texas, in the town that I live in. New, young, like they seem like they could be still in their late teens. I don't know. They look young to me. But they're called Nemesis, and their debut album just came out, which is called False Reality, and self produced and put out, as far as I know. Like, it's not, there's no label behind it. They just put it out on their own. That being said, like a brand new band, the best thing about hearing an album like this is hearing such promise from a band where you're just like, man, this is, for a young band just putting together an album, this is really impressive. It's got a very old school Megadeth vibe. Even down to the vocalist sounds like 15-year-old Dave Mustaine. Like
Oh.
he has a very high pitched, sort of snarly kind of delivery, but the band are tight as fuck, and all sorts of cool riffs, a really great energy to this album. And on top of that, self-produced album, it sounds really good. I don't know how they avoided that sort of demo-ish quality that a lot of bands, like, for a band will put out like a demo or whatever, and that first thing they put out, you're always like, oh man, come back to me when you got a producer or somebody to get a good sound for you. But
Yeah.
for what this is, sounds really good. It's a really fun album. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's not anything, super unique. But if you're into like an old school thrash thing, with the more energetic, faster, in your face kind of shit, with no screaming, it's all kind of sung
Yeah.
vocals, which is refreshing, because it seems like a whole lot of modern thrash, everyone thinks they just need to yell, and I'm like, well, it's good sometimes, but maybe sometimes sing a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's by no means perfect. There are some, I could give them a little bit of pointers if they're watching this. A
Very good of you.
thing that you don't like much. There's occasionally those times where the vocals go right along with the guitar riff, and I know you're
Yeah.
not a fan of that. But I
Yeah.
feel like that's a thing that eventually, you get more comfortable writing songs and playing and stuff and things.
Well, basically, that's what happens when you're not a singer, because when no one has told you that when the music does one thing, you're supposed to create something else that works with it. You don't
Yeah.
just follow what it's doing.
In this case,
Um,
he's also one of the guitar players, so I guess I see how that works out. But that's a minor gripe, because I really listen to this and go, man, if these guys stick with it, they will be, they'll start to really stand out in this town, and then in the thrash metal world, because there's not as many thrash metal bands as there used to be coming out, but a lot of them just are missing something, and I think what it's missing is the urgency and maybe even like youthful energy. And I think that
Yeah.
Nemesis really have that going for them, because that's what I think of when I think of classic old school thrash. I think of like 19, 20-year-old dudes up there, just showing off and like, playing as fast as they can, and like, shredding solo in there. And like, that stuff to me is like, it makes me feel a little better about being an old dude now, I'm 45 now. And so I listen to some of this music and I go, you know what? I'm resigned to the fact that some music is meant to be made by young people. There are older people that can make really great thrash metal, yourself included in that list there.
Very kind, sir.
But I really do think that there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Brand
I
new,
totally agree.
brand new in a band, brand new writing songs. That excitement that you feel
Yeah.
when you're first putting it together in a room.
Yeah,
it's
it's the piss and vinegar, the arrogance of youth.
Exactly.
It's the fuck you and do what you tell me kind of
And
nature of writing songs that when you're that age.
literally, I'm glad that you said that, because if I could just give this a one sentence description for this Nemesis album, it is piss and vinegar thrash metal. Like it's like
Yeah.
that's literally what it's like. So yeah.
Also, thanks for bringing in that phrase as well, because there's a little hint in there for anybody out there who actually likes vinegar. You're a fucking lunatic. It's disgusting. Piss and vinegar is a phrase that travels the world. Everyone knows what the phrase piss and vinegar means, and it's because vinegar tastes like piss. That's your fucking comparison right there for you. So if you do like vinegar, fair enough. Just keep it the fuck away from me.
Do you want to know something interesting? Now that you're mentioning it, the only time in my life I think I've ever used vinegar was for like a science class experiment. Like, what the fuck else is vinegar used for?
Cooking. Fish and chips. You have salt. You have on your fish and chips. You have
salt and vinegar
chips.
chips.
We have salt and vinegar chips, as you'd call them, or crisps, as we call them.
Yes.
So salt and vinegar is a thing over here, but we're the Brits, aren't we? Oh, salt and vinegar, isn't that lovely? No, it's a combination of acid and salt. How is
I
that
actually
fucking
do like
nice?
that. I like salt and vinegar crisps. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
Weird.
I do.
Weird. This is literally like hands across the ocean cultural exchange. No, I like salt and vinegar.
Now that you mention it, because that's the only other time I can think of vinegar being used. But I also don't ever cook things with vinegar, so it's
No, I didn't get. Well, not many people do. It's fucking disgusting stuff. It really is. I mean, a little bit on some fish and chips, yes, but like other than that, you buy a bottle of vinegar, it will last you a lifetime. I guarantee it. Yeah, there's a reason for that, because every time someone comes around your house and you go, "You want some vinegar?" They'll go, "No." Weirdo.
Now that you bring up crisps, but this isn't crisps that I'm talking about. I'm talking about chips. Right. Your kind of chips. What is the traditional shape of a chip in England? Is it circular, or is it no?
Yeah, it's kind of like fat chips. Is what we used to have, chip shop chips, which are fairly big. They're not French fries, that's for sure. They're bigger than French fries.
Thicker.
Yeah, bigger and thicker. And that is your standard potato deep fried chip. Okay. But yeah, not round. No.
Okay. Yeah, because there used to be a restaurant back in Austin when I lived there that was like an English pub, and you would get, bangers and mash and stuff like that. And then they would have chips, but they would always they were round. And I really liked that for like dipping and stuff, but I was always like, is that really what
did they have a hot pot on the menu?
I don't remember. If they did, right. I never had it. So
my guess is that they may have had a hot pot on the menu as well. So what they do is they just pre-slice the potatoes to layer over a hot pot, and then just fucking we slice one way, and we'll do them for chips as well, unless they decided that they'd be handier for dips.
Oh, yeah,
scooping more dip on. I don't know.
I love that we've ended the show this way with a little bit of.
Well, I don't want to end. I want to continue and frankly go off and speak more pointless fucking tangents. Not that it'd be possible.
The one thing they had at that restaurant that I really enjoyed was Scotch eggs, and that's the first time I'd ever had Scotch eggs was at this restaurant. And
Yeah.
and most places
Nothing
don't
to
have
do
that
with
here.
Scotland.
No,
Nothing to do with Scotland either. It's an egg that's been scotched. It's not an egg from Scotland.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I love that show. I love some good. That's the only thing is that, I mean, there's many reasons why I want to come over to England, not only to visit, Eddie and visit you, but also I just want to go to like a neighborhood pub, just like
Yeah.
I just not in the thick of it. Just go to somebody's
Yeah.
neighborhood and just go to the neighborhood pub and have their snacky
local.
foods and yeah.
Yeah.
Love
Oh,
that.
mate, honestly, Yorkshire, I'd take you to the middle of fucking nowhere to one of the best pubs in the country. It's absolutely just gorgeous.
Nice.
And oh man, honestly.
My wife
yeah.
and I had at one point discussed eventually moving to England, but we've discovered that it's illegal to have pit bulls in England, and so that closed that chapter for us.
Are you sure illegal, or is it full on illegal, or is it licensed?
As far, what I read was that it's illegal to have to own a pit bull in England.
Well, I mean, I haven't looked into it, but there was a spate of kids getting eaten by pit bulls. You know, oh, but it's a pet. We've had him for years, and there was never he's eating next door's child.
Our pit bull's not going to eat anybody.
That's exactly what they said. Yeah, that's exactly what the owners of that dog said. Yeah, this dog safe. Oh dear. No, it basically there was it's some rogue dog owners back in the day, not looking after their dog, and it's ruined it for everybody basically.
Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. But
I'll see if I can sort that out for you anyway. I'll have a word.
Yeah. Talk to the king or whoever's in charge over there.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I'll ask the king who's in charge. I'm not sure at the moment. It's such a shit show over here, but yeah. Well,
it is weird. It's weird to say king now because it was all about the queen for such a long time.
Every time there's a sporting event, or when England play, because unlike your good selves, we don't play the national anthem every time somebody opens a packet of fucking crisps. We save it for occasions that actually mean something, and occasionally, when the national team is playing, you hear the anthem, and to this day, it throws me every time. It's like, God save our gracious quick. Oh, everyone else is saying.
You're supposed to say king now. Oh.
King. Yeah, it's king. It's a simple lyric chain. It's a simple lyric change. But, as I've told the guys, once I get used to singing something, it's very, very hard to get me to change it.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm just going to carry on with Queen, And to be honest, I don't sing the national anthem very often.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I'm one of those people that everyone's putting their hands over their hearts, and I'm just sitting there going, can we just get on with this shit?
Yeah. And the thing is, as well, is that sight of everybody with the mast, the flag at half mast, and everyone like that, and everyone thinking, oh, doesn't that look great? It's being broadcast on television in China, and they're all going, Jesus Christ, look at them fucking brainwashed to fuck.
Yeah.
Imagine they're all armed as well. Jesus, what a dangerous country. Meanwhile, we look at them all celebrating and doing their anthem, going, look at them, they're terrifying. Oh my God, they're all brainwashed. Yeah. Fucking hell. Hey, a little bit of a tangent. This whole podcast has been a tangent, hasn't it, really?
Yeah. But you know what? It's been fun because who would have thought that we both liked an Avenged Sevenfold album. So there you go.
I mean, no one's putting any money. Vegas odds, pretty fucking low. You're not getting anybody going to take a bet from me or you before this album came out that we're going to like the next Avenged Sevenfold album.
Just watch the next Five Finger Death Punch album. We're going to be all over it, right?
No fucking way. No fucking way. No, just no. Just Five Finger Death Punch, man.
Yep, awful.
Yeah, truly awful. And when I watched them as well, do you know what I mean? It was just like, we're against the war, but with for the troops. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Excellent. Do you mind if I ask you excellent. Do you mind if I just ask you a few more questions and we can pick into that, fuck you. It's like it's one of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, it was like absolutely just fucking meathead Janet and John 1 2 3 4 ABC metal.
Yeah.
I will do this move. I will do this move. When they were on stage, they looked like a bunch of guys in their early 30s walking around the mall. You know, big old stage. Do you know what I mean? And just walking around like, you know, it looked like one of them was just going to like get their phone out any minute and check it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, not feeling this, guys. Not feeling this.
Oh, well, we can't love them all, I guess.
No, we can't. We can't. But hey, look, thank you very much, all of you listening and watching. Really do appreciate it. And, you know, big up the old head. Make sure you subscribe and like his YouTube channel.
Yep. And as usual, I'll have all of H's links in my video for you to go and not only go to his Patreon, but also I think there's also links to Acid Rain stuff. So just go branch out and find some cool shit.
Yeah, even if you don't like Acid Rain, start following the band for no reason at all and see how annoying our social media can be.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
See you later.
Okay, everybody. See ya.